Whakalofa lahi atu ki amatu rosi tau niwe ko whanongonong mai he pūri pō nei. Wa oe ko whetaki aki mo e whikisia aki a tōtolu he Leotaogo Niue Pasifika ono walu tolu. Ko mtolu ko whe whanongonong mai, whakamawhisi mai do kai, mtolu ke tau laulau, he lotu whare ke kai do kai mo e one tau whoni mtolu ke whanongonong mai, ke tau tala mai ha tōtolu he motu ko Niue. Whakalofa lahi atu ki a mtolu, tau Niue ne nonofo he motu nei, ko Brisbane. Si whakalofa lahi atu whoki ki a Leotaogo i New Zealand, whakalofa lahi mahaki atu ki a Leotaogo i Niue katoa. Whakalofa lahi atu ki a koe mahaku brother Charlie, happy birthday, 70th birthday a koe, aho ngufua. Whakale mole kua hepe te ka hae o mena kua iti hoku mai a koe ke tala Leotaogo. He pō nei, ha koe tau kereanga he tau whoni ko hoku ki ai. Kai whakalofa lahi atu. Whakalofa lahi atu ki a koe mapoi, mo ha matulu a matua ne tau se ai e pēno hana matulu i tua ko motu, whakalofa lahi atu. Pia ni ko au nei, ko e te toha waka whai, ko tutala atu ke whanongonong mai am tū. Whakoe lahi.
Tuko te tō whāwe mo e tau whatulogu he matohe langi, a koe hana taki monuina si mai ke a tau tōru ke riflewei ai, ke ono waru tōru Leotaogo Niue, whapulo atu ai ki Brisbane, Australia, ke ha tau tōru tō kapsinga ma tō mtakainanga i Niue whekai, whakalofa lai atu ke am tōru, ma mnaki Glen, kua mautari mai am tōru ke ha tau tōru whakaloanga e whawhinei, whakau he matutaki mai mo e toho mai ka hae tō kapsinga ha tau tōru ke lata ia mo e whakaloanga e whawhinei, ke am tōru ki a kalana New Zealand, whamawria mu whakalofa lai atu i loi au kua o kio ki holiday a kai ha whiawhinei, whakalofa lai atu, pia whoki ha tau tōru tōka mamatua, kua whanongonongo mai ki he tau tōru apalokalama he a whiawhinei. Ko e ha tau tōru tau whakailonga kiki ke lata e mea whiawhi. A ua whurumari mai a Pelila, hola hongfuru he mga pongi Sandgate Memorial Park nā ki Brisbane toke lau, hola hongfuru he mga pongi ko e whorenia ia mo e tau mamatua he Anzac. Si ko mtoru ne whia manako ke hoko atuai, whoreni he hola hongfuru, pia he talahau me hata toru a matua ko wholau ko ia ne takitaki e mtakau nei. Komi atu ke ia, no me la foni nā kai whā, nā kai rima whā, waru nā kai toru ngufuru maono. Si pia e whakailonga ia ke lata ia moe aha ua e whaitapu ka hau, holongo furu e pongi, whoreni ai ki Anzac Sandgate Memorial Park. Ko e mga aho tupola ke share i tau kai, o atu ai ke he numela rimong furu mawha, Hanford Road Community Hall na ki Zilmea. Pia e whakahalanga ia ke mtoru, i nā atu whakalapalapa ke mtoru, ne a tā o atu ke whiawhia mo e talanoa, ke hatau tōru tō mamatua ne hohoko atu ai ke whiua kautau ia he tau wa leva. Si whakamanatu atu ke hatau tōru tō takainanga Niue, o atu ki Siomia he aho ua he whaitapu ka hau. Ko e hatau tōru a whare atulunga ke he kuke ailani mai i Auckland New Zealand, ko e whakaholonga nei po ke halau tōra tuturi tupe ke lata ia mo e whare Niue ia ki lalotonga to whakahoko ai he a whiawhia pongi, ke mata hola fitu, ke kaina nā halau tōru ko milestone pā ki o tahuhu, hola fitu e mga whiawhi ke holong fumaua. Ko e whakailonga nei mai ia he ham tōru a toi kupu ko ane po mari ko ia ne nofua ia he manga nei ko Brisbane. Halau tōrua ko misi, Julian he kau ko ia ne takitaki, President ko Anne Strickland, ko ia tohi tupe, Johnny Kumitau, o ka lana New Zealand, Monica Makapelu, o ka lana New Zealand, mo Mana Halavaka, Maria Halavaka whamoremori, mai i o ka lana New Zealand foki. Si pia anda tōra to whailonga kuku, mamnaki ko mawhala am tōru, pia foki ni ha mo tōru, Pleskai, ko e sapa ia ke la taimo ha mo tōru, tuturi anga tupe, mataka ofise siare, aho ono ko mtoru ne whia manako, tōru ngfuru tā la sapa he aho hongfuru, aho ono hola hongfuru mataha, he hola taha, ke pika puai he hako lotukaina, tau sapa ia mtoru si whaka ave mai, ha motoru fundraising ia ke lata mo e mataka ofise siare. Si ko motoru ne whai a whanau, ke whakamunu nā tu ha motoru tu a whanau, mamnaki ko malolo am toro, pia foki ke he tau kai a whiawhia am toro, mamnaki mai ki Niue, hai ai ha tau toro tau mamatua, ne mamnaki ke utahala o toro tau ingoa ke virianga he whahi tapu ka hau whakalate au, a hua furumahiwa, a mamnaki mai ke whanonongo ke he wharu talahauanga po ke hala toro tau whakamatalaanga, hala toro ne kua a mamnaki ai ke whakahoko e virianga ia ki Niue a hua furumahiwa. Whalawhata lahi atu ke mtoru ma Glen ki Niue, tā te lolongo nei whakawhiawhia ke amtoru, mamnaki kua kai amtoru to kai whiawhi, kia manuina amtoru ki Niue, whaalof lahi atu. Haia matoko pisinga mamnaki kua fia am tole whanongo mai ke here longo ia taat po ke fia ke koe maama kua ofa koe hea fia finei hataua. Si mamnaki mai ma Glen mo pati ko fea mua whaalawhalai atu ke am tolu ki Niue mamnaki kua malolo am tolu mo e whanongo mai ke here teo hata tolu hea fia finei kai ke kua maua mua si whakamoui mai ana ion? Ia. Whalawhalai atu?
Whalawhatu. Malona kai mua e whiawhinei, whalawhala pihia tau sio sa mua.
Whalawhalai atu, malolo e whiawhi?
Tō tahe mawhala, tō wheka.
Ai longa na mitaki a kai?
Ai longa na mitaki?
Ia.
E whalela, whiwhea la nā.
Haia, longo katei, haia hom.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay.
Haia, mitaki tei, longona. Haia, whakawelahi ma Miss Julie Tālangi, whakalawhalai atu. Whakaue ha kua talia mai mo e toka pisenga me tō mamatua ne kumikumi mai a koe ke hake mai ke tūtala hea whiawhinei i loa e mautoro ko koe taha ne tuku hawa hingoa ke virianga lahi ha tautoro he motu ki he whahitapu e ne hau. Sia mamnaki kua mawhala mo e maulahi ka hae tau kato ai ko to kata pola ha ko to kato leta ke tu tala mai ko he afia finei mo e talhawa i hawa to manatu hawa hingoa mo e nofo ko i fe mo e hawa to mamna kianga ke he virianga na whawela.
Kalawhalahi atu kia koe mapui i he ni mai hawa tanga hua ke mga hoa whiwhinei. Kau ki he tua ki hana taki mawhala go meka tau tūru ki whiwhea pihi nei. Ni ngā kai ngā hua mi take tau la kauhila hako toe uha mautūra nei i Niue. Ka e whakaue kua kumi mai koe au ke whai whakatūtalanga ke lata mai hākua hingoa ko tuku ki mua ki loto ke lato mai vilianga lahi e motu ke mahina nei. Si whakaue mapoi, ko e hingoa haako ko Julie Tālangi Funaki, mai he maanga ko Alofi tonga, ko e haako tō mamatua, linga ilai koe ko mana mo Mauru Tālangi. Si ko e haako ngā hua e mune, ngā hua au ki he whahi pisinisi, private sector ha Niue, ko e haako langamatai ki he pisinisi he mga whawa, ko e Pacific Way Pā, haia i Amanau, mo e whiawhelahi a mautoro whoki ha kua taha whiua lahi e Pasifika, kua tau seo si kei he whahi tapu kua Māori, si whiawhelahi kua pihia e mena kua tupu.
Introduce yourself.
So, haia, koe haia ni haka tau talahauanga ke haka mahingoa mai haka na whanga, kaue.
Tuku hake lai mai ki a Julie McLean from Moresby.
Okay. Mic check 1, 2. Whiwhea la nā.
Ai longa na mitaki a kai, ai longa na mitaki a Julie.
Can you just do it?
Check. I'm
ai longa tei.
Si longa na kai mua e tal haku mua.
Longa na kai longa na mitaki te ana mo nei.
Okay. Ki mua.
Haia, ko e huhu atu whakamore, ko e tau whiawhea lahi e mautoro ka hea longona, ko e tau whanau fuata mtoru mo e iloilo ka hea mai loto matala, ke tuku atu tau hingoa ke hea tau toro a motu ke viri. Si tala hau la ka hea whamore, ko e hane manako e koe ke hu atu a koe ke langamatai hea tau toro a motu, hingoa hawa tau ngā hua, mo he awa tau mena ni kua nono a koe me ke skisi a koe whia manako a koe ke hu atu ke virianga nā.
Whakaelahi ke he huhu, koe hako manako ni, na kai mau ama manaki au ke tuku hako hingoa ki loto he virianga nei. Ka kua nono, kua lata tono ni whakalata ke mga hone kua limungo fure tau haku si lafi foki ko e onono ki mua ko e Le mga fulu fo ke tau ha Niue kua manaki kei he self-governing. Si manako ke tau sta mana ke hako mui kai mua tu ke e whai lang matai au ke he kautu he motu whakaong hako tau ilo ni kua moa mai he hako tau hako mui moi ke lang matai ke asihake e motu.
Hai a whakaue, ko e tokolonga i tau tangata i Niuean nahe mga honei ne whanongonongo mai ki a koe, mai ke naka koe ki talahau ko hingoa whalua mena hao ne kua toka he loto, kua ononua koe ka hakua na kai lata po ke tau mena kua manako koe ki hiki, ko hingoa hao whalua mena ne whia manako koe ke iloa he tau Niue, ke video tu ki a koe he aho whaiumu.
Aho
Aua furumahiva. Ka me au tolongo furu.
Ua fumahiva.
Ua
fumahiva. Ako e ua ni a kai he tungbe he kumi mai au si whai mana tuanga whuke o ki hako tau ama mana kianga ke lato mo e Vilianga. Longa hako tau mani ni manatu ki ei. Kai ono mua au ke he papa ne whakaingoa koe tohi whakatokotokonga hua Niue. Si koe mai he pepeia, hako manatu, ke nakai manatu ke whai hikianga. Si koe na tolu ne tau he tangatanga meke ke whai whakakeheanga po ke maeke ke lang matai. You only have 3 years to really make a change in government. And I don't think that 3 years is enough. So, hako manatu, lali ke lang matai ke he pepa ngahua nei he whaktuwhano. Hako whita tau ngahua I loto e he whakatokotoka. Sui koe hako manatu koe lali noa ni ke whakangahua hua. Mai lang matai ke lau tūru ne ngahua I loto he whaktuwhano ke hoko ke whakangahua hua lau tūru atau whai ngahua. I hope that makes sense. So, anono whakalahi ke mga whaoa ka, koe mga whaoa, koe uhua ia he tō tangati Niue. So, the family is very important on Niue ka. Whakamoe whaonga e mga hau pālangi, e mga hau ke uaki. So, the family is very important on Niue, because everybody here contributes to our society as a whole ka. And everybody works, you know, a good percentage of the Niue population works in the private sector, in the public service. So when you go in there, if you're lucky to get into government, you'll be working with these people. So from my perspective, it's good to work with them. So my focus is not on making changes, but working with what is already in place to make changes. And why reinvent the wheel when the nuts and bolts of it are already in place? And they just need fine-tuning. Some of the issues that I look at ka, lang matai, whakamoa, lang matai, e tau tutongi, ke he tau tangatinga hua whaktuwhano, remuneration for public servants. Tunga lau tōru ne kua lahe e ngā hua lau tōru, kai nakai la ki sia e halau tūra tau, kua alaki si kua tukuhake halau tūra tau tutongi. Mua atu hako tau mga honei, kuku e tau tangata, ne maeke ki ngā hua. There's a labour shortage. So there is a shortage of specialised areas in the public service that need support. And also, from my perspective, I think that tonga nika haa he motu nei, ukalahi ke moe e tupe, so the standard of living, or cost of living on Niue is quite high, because we import a lot of goods from New Zealand. So therefore wages should be aligned to reflect that ka. Tuku hake te tutongi te tangata whaktuwhana ke ta taimu e tau mena ne kua, tau the cost of living. Ono whukeo ke he whahi malolo sino. Mua atu ke whahi mental health and well-being. La he focus he whahi malolo sino ke tau kua Māori ke he mananei ne tupu ke he lalolangi koe COVID. Si nakai la he lautula lang matai po ke capacity ke lang matai at ke tau whahia tunge well-being po ke mental health and the wellness of the people. So tahe manei haku ne manako ke ngahua ke Pia whoke ni me disabilities. Pia whoke ni moe lang matai whakalahi ke he whahi ngahua po ke leweki ke he tau matua. Ni kua nono whatu ke he whale whakau ke he whale ngangau ke tau mga nei. Because Niue has an aging population. So we need to look at how we can look after our people on Niue, especially in the geriatric units. And also to give further training and employment in these areas. We also need doctors who specialize in areas of health, like surgeons, radiology, dentistry, gynecology, and nurses. Mai taha whake menhak ne manaka ke ono whake ko tau medical referrals. Takalanga tau tolu ne whananof ke motu si tupe tau le kua ke tau mamui ha tau tolu si o whanoa ni kua whano ke kumilang matai ke tau malalo sino ke he motu kuni silani. Ai whalu mngaho mitaki hoku ki ai ko whitahau appointment he mau kai laulahi ni e whalu o ke nanofo New Zealand mai whai mngaho ato mo e tau appointment ke lato mai halau tūra tau ngau. So ka mena ne manako ke liu e whahi malalo sino ke ono ke he halau tūru MOU, Memorandum of Understanding my counties Manukau Health Board. Ke lang matai ko hingo halau tūru tau lang matai si nakai si manatu whakeo, we shouldn't have to beg for their help. We should be able to negotiate with them and say, well, yes, we understand, but can we do this way? And not always have to say yes to them, but always at the same time look at our own interests and what serves us. So I think that's very important in terms of medical referrals. And also, in talking about medical referrals, I loia tongalonga tō pisinisi New Zealand, he ne that some Niueans already have in their trusts. There's some Niuean trusts in alignment to health that can actually help in these areas. For example, if Niue government through Niue Health could make connections with them and network in order to assist our people when they go overseas for medical health, medical attention, so that they don't have to be such a burden. Ke he tau mga whanga, ha koe utani, ke he tau mga koe whihe lewa hao he nofu ke motu ki mislani, moi ai whailanga matai lahi, ke lata moi tau mga whane na nofu ke kai tahani, kai manei e whuki haku na onon, ke koe whiwhi ke kau whakataha Niue me tau Niue trustee ne kua takolonga lau tōru ne ka tāmati ni sila. Community affairs is such a big area as well in Niue in terms of village councils, spiritual values, sports and recreation. I think that this area needs capacity building and more staffing. And I hope that I can make a difference in that area as well. And also, they also work with families who have disabilities, who need assistance, especially our children and our elderly. And now I come to education. Education is such a big area, and I know other candidates will also cover this. But for myself, when I look at education, I look at the scholarships that are offered to Niue. And when I look at those scholarships, they are based on what Niue's needs are. And majority of the needs are more towards trade. We're looking at plumbers or electricians. Of course, we need plumbers and electricians on Niue and so forth, but we can also make changes that according to what our students' strengths are, what our students like to do, what our students would like to aspire to. And I'm not talking about being lawyers or doctors. I'm talking about the creative arts, performing arts, or music. Similar to what is being set up here and what was set up last week, there are avenues for us to do that. And I think that that's also empowering to our youth to know that their scholarships or training are not only based on needs, but also based on what they like or what their strengths are. I think this is important. Another aspect of education is that I think there should be a policy that to be able to work in our schools, that teachers, regardless of their ethnicity or where they come from, should either, one, have some fluency in the Mga Hau Niue, two, enroll in the Mga Hau Niue course before coming to Niue to teach at either primary or high school. And moving on to my other, what I'm quite passionate about, of course, is the private sector. The private sector plays a vital role in the economy by creating jobs, providing goods and services, and stimulating economic growth. And it is also an important source of tax and revenue for the government. So without a strong private sector, the government cannot receive all these revenues and cannot do what they are tasked to do. So I think that government needs to continue to support the businesses by continuing to build capacity of the Niue Chamber of Commerce and the work that they do by giving them access to funding that is specifically aimed at private sector developments, so that businesses can feel like they're not asking for a handout, but rather a hand up, as quoted by the current CEO of NCOC. And this is where the PPP comes in. PPP is private-public partnership, and building confidence between both the private sector and government. I can see myself that even during the pandemic, businesses were thriving. In fact, some new businesses were established. So that's saying something for the Niue private sector. And I hope that the government will look favorably on them and assist them in this way. The other thing I want to bring up as well, ko lata Niue ke ua e wakalere he whahitapu mo e lali foki ke tāmata Taha Island hopper flight between the Pacific countries. Tunga e wakalere ne hake mai lalotonga ke mahina kua Māori. Si liu hifu mai taha matakau spot ha Niue, si liu mai. Ta tunga ni foke e wakalere ne hau I Nauru, hau ki fisi si hoko mai ki Niue, si liu. Whalu mene e hako ne ono ki ei ki he mga nei. Si osi mai he nei e hako atau manatu, ke lata mai whakatu talanga ki hako hingoa kua tuku ki loto ke lata mai wilianga lahi ha niue. Whakau ilahi kua whanongonongo mai, manu i ne pō.
Liko e te tō waka nei ne tūtala atu kia koe. Koe talaua koe hanga au ke hau a tau mana tuanga kua whanongonongo ai ai tau tangata usi Niue katoa mo i tau Niue i nei mo New Zealand. Tō tahe mita ki haua koe. Longa lahi haua tau mana tuanga ke lata ia mo i wirianga. Mo i langmatai e motu hataua. Hatau tūru. Si tāla koe hanga au ke he tau fuakau. Koe mana lahi ia ke whakakia e tau fuakau. Whaoa ngai ani ka haa ana kai am tōru ke tau toke tāke ahi tau fuakau. Ka whai fuakau ngai ane no nofo mai i tua he tau kaina. Koe tau fuakau ke le veki whakamitaki, whakamalolo, ke whakakia mo le veki whakamitaki he wharenga ngāo. Taha mana i hako ne whiawhia lahi ako mention mai koe e tau fuakau pihia ke well-being, e tau health he tau fuakau. Whakau e lahi matuli, whakamalolo a koe ke tāla. Ke tāla ke longan he tau Niue a koe. Ma tō tahe furufuroala, ma mari mai ka haka tāla. Ke vili atu te whoa mo e whakamaloloa koe ke te he vili mai am tōru ki au, hae hako tau mena ko whakakise atu ke tūtala mai, tūtala atu ke whanongonongo mai am tōru, ke langa ki hake motu ha Niue. Hako kisia tei kua longa lahi e tau mena ke improve a Niue, longa e tau pohala tū ke tau seose. E tau pohala tū, wa mau ngai ani he whinatu au he ua e awhe honfu mataha. Hoko mai ki ta monei loa atu koe pothole ngai ene e te poala tui Niue ala whai mena ko tau isi ke langmatai aki. Whakau e lahi a koe ko mention e tau haua tau manatu. Si koe haia ko lahi whanongonongo. Ma mari mai ma tuli, vili ki a tuli. Tō langmatai ia a Niue katoa. Whakau e lahi ma tuli.
Whakau e lahi ma tuli haua tau ngaho. Ka e whemanako au ke tukota ngaho ki a Glen. Ko ia ne nofo ia i Niue. Sikisia maari fōki e mtoru e hata tōru a motu. Whai huhu atu ki a Julie ma Glen, whamare maare. Tō whakaosi atu e au, tō mawehe mai a Julie mo tau tōru e a whewhinei. Whaue.
Tō huhu ma Glen gau, eti whakalawhalahi ati ka koe whakamone mai I longona o hingoa hao ngaho whakamua. Whakau ke hao a tau tomatoma mai ki au, ke whia lahi au. Tala ke hanga au ke he tau puhala tū a tau tōru he motu. Linga whia lahi a koe mga honei ke longona kua hoko mai te tatata ke tau se he tau tōru a tau puhala tū. Ka liu mā koe he tau nei, ke tau ka hau. Linga e ti whai pothole a Niue a ia. Se haia tau a mamanaki anga ha Niue. Ai tala lahi o ke whahia ha koe tau mena e kua mamanaki ki ai e whaktuwhono. So I didn't want to speak on things that are work in progress. I just wanted to talk about what I thought was important to me and how I could see or what the changes are that I could be able to make effectively or just to speak about in general and see how people feel about it. But whakau lahi mai eti pia ni kia poi koe lao ni kia Glen ai ki hana huhu.
Hello.
Julie.
Yes.
So
Whakalahi mai ki hama Glen.
Okay, so our newer diaspora that live abroad, we have a population of 1,600 on the island, average 1,600, and roughly 900 are our descendants from our newer blood. So do you have any thoughts or ideas in regards to connecting and bridging our newer diaspora abroad?
I think I already mentioned earlier, Glenn, the idea of through health, where there's definitely a need there for our people to work together and network in terms of, one, building a Niue health clinic there, building a accommodation for our people who can go there. But I mean, this all depends on the diaspora themselves because I believe they're the ones with the resources. We don't have the resources that are readily available to them. They have the trust. They have amounts of funding that is out of this world that we cannot achieve here on Niue. We can only do so much. So when we talk about the diaspora and when they say to us, oh, we need this, we need that, yes, we need that too, but we need that from you as well. And that's one of the ways that we can work together, especially with the many trusts that I know of that exist in New Zealand that deal with health. And how can we start the discussions? How can we start the talking between the two? And not just in health, there's so many programs that we ourselves on Niue can set up with our people in New Zealand in terms of education, job training, anything that you can think about, because again, the people that live abroad, especially in New Zealand, our second home, that's where all the resources are that we do not have. So for us, it's sort of like, well, why don't you take the lead and we will follow because you are able to do so. And please put yourselves out there when there are elections. Put yourself out there into community boards or councillors or when they have a mayoral elections. Put yourself out there. That's one way you can help us. Definitely. So, yes.
Oh, awesome. Just two more things I want to touch on, and that's close to my heart as a tangata Niue, is one will be youth. And so what other things are you looking at? I know you mentioned some of them in your points. If you could elaborate more in regards to youth. For example, on the weekend here in Niue, there are not much options that our young people can go to. And so are there any ideas or things that you'd like to put forward, to the cabinet and to really push the importance of having activities for young people to do? Because the only option that there is in a weekend, you and I both know, it's either buck chicken or the nightclub. And there's a lot of eateries, which is awesome. So we'll talk about food later and the local businesses and private sector. But for our young people, where can they go in the weekend? So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are we can't know that unless they tell us. So it's important that we have a dialogue with the youth to hear what they need to say. What is it that they want? What is it they want to establish? What do they want from the government that they can do? What are the activities that they want to do? Do they want to establish a way in which they can reconnect with their cousins overseas? Is there an opportunity for arts festivals that they can themselves run? Is there an exchange that they can have amongst themselves with our overseas cousins again? Or just encourage inter-village sports, functions? Because iloio lahe mahuinga e kalesia Niue ke he tau youth services. And that's about the only thing I know that happens on Niue in terms of where the youth are involved. But as we know, not all youth are involved in the church. And there's still that gap. So we have to ask the youth, what is it that you really want? What do you want to achieve as a youth? What do you want to do on a Saturday night that is going to be effective or useful to your life? I think that's the question that we need to ask the youth, because I don't know that, you don't know that. And certainly the policymakers don't know that.
Very good, very good. Very good answer. Yeah, I'll vote for you. So lastly, I'd just like to talk, and again, for me personally, as a performing artist background in the world of media, and I do remember you mentioning in some of your points as well. And so there isn't a funding body for performing arts here anyway. We just know it is koe korimotu, village, activities that they do for cultural days or end of year activities. But I would really love to see an opportunity where there could be a pocket of funds that are actually specifically dedicated for the arts. And performing arts, as we both know, from what I know from overseas, it is such a pocket because not every young person can be a doctor or a lawyer or those. I'm not saying those are not important, but the arts is where they can channel their energy. The arts is where they can take a career path and still become doctorates and professionals in their field. So what's some other points and thoughts about the performing arts and how we can build it into the future?
I think that the performing arts is very, very important. If you look overseas and look across the Pacific to our brothers and sisters in the small island states, particularly in the Cook Islands and in Samoa, you can see where the performing arts is taking off quite well. They work well with the business industry, tourism industries. You see them in the hotels. And I, for one, encourage the performing arts, because not everyone, like you see, can be a doctor or a lawyer, and I myself am not one, and because I am sort of like a creative person myself, I don't have the time to do any of that. But yes, I think definitely there is an opportunity there. One of the beauty of the Niue strategic plan is that they are cross-cutting, which means that not only Taonga Niue not cross-cuts with community affairs, but there are other cross-cutting layers as well, where they can or may be able to bring resources together and find something for that. But definitely I agree that performing arts and creative arts is something that we should also promote, and also for health and well-being. Because these government workers, and I'm quite thankful for them, because they must have stressful lives to be able to work and then go home and to their families, and they're wearing so many different hats. So I think that I think that there should be a fund there somewhere specifically for performing arts, or for the youth who think that they could participate that in well. And also, again, looking across to the diaspora and seeing how those funds can filter through to Niue. I remember that when Seoul William, Member of Parliament for Labour, came last year for the Niue Constitution, and I'm sure he mentioned something like that. I could be lying, but don't quote me on that, that there could be a situation where we can access the creative arts funding in New Zealand. And yes, thank you.
Whakawelahi, haia.
Ia whakawelahi ma Glenn mo Julie.
Whakawelahi.
A mamanaki au kua whanongonongo mai mto tahe tō longa mtoru ne whanongongo mai. Hea whawhinei ke hawa tau whaka iloanga pa ke hawa tau mamanakianga ma Julie. A mamanaki au ki a manuena mai whanongonongo mai mtoru e tau Niue, ko mtoru ka haka viri. Ka koe haku ni tutala ni au hangao ke tau mata kupu hao ne talahau mai. Mori e tau viri ha tau toru. Ka eke koe mga whaoa au, si longona i au ko mitaki hawa tutala, mo e langomatai po ke iloa i au tō langomatai e motu, whanongonongo wha mitaki am toru i Niue, ko tau toru ni ka tua i a turi. Ka eke ni ka hākua na kai manako a koe, hākua he tau, hākua he awa tau mena ne whanongonongo koe, kai aitala hau mai a ia, mitaki lahi tō mina pihia. Ka koe pehe, koe whano ni a koe ke viri, ha koe matakai nanga hau, po ke kapisinga hau, po ke anti hau. Riri o tau toru ke mana manatu whakamitaki, ke hako e puhala ha tau toru, ke uta ki ha tau toru a motu. Koe hako ni a manatu ia ke whanongonongo me ha tau toru a whewhnei, tō tahe mitaki mo e furufuruola, mo e a manaki ka ha a tau toru ne whanongonongo ke ha ana tau manatuanga, ia whiawhinei, ke viri a tau toru ke a ia, ke langamatai e ia ha tau rua motu. Mo i wharua mena nā ne whanongonongo tau ke a Glenn Hakolohi, e tala ia ko i tau iufu ha tau toru, tau whanau fuata, uka lohi e motu ko Niue ke whai, mena whakawhiawhia ke latai, mo tau whanau fuata. Si pia whoki nia mau toru hinei, whita mau toru e tutala i studio, ko hingo a wharu a mena ke lata ia, nā kai ni ko tau whanau kehe, ka ko tau whanau Niue, si a mamna ki au ma Julie, tūtaka loa e whakalofa hea tua, mo he hawa tō mamna ki anga, mo mtoru muato ke mtoru, ne a mamna ki ke viri, ke ririwa mtoru ki whanongonongo, hana tau whakamatalanga, mo e manamana tu whakahokoro, ka ua oa mtoru ke pehe, koe viri, no ni a koe, hako matakai nanga hau. Ka kia osi mai he na ia ha tau tōru ko kukuto mga aho, tūri ma vehe mai,
Yeah.
tō riwa ta tōru ke whireweia whoki, tā mga aho, manuina mai he atua.
Kau i lahi ke he mga aho kua tuku mai ke lata mai hā kua tau manamanatuanga ke he vilianga kua manaki kei. Munuina mua tuka ua, tō liliwa tu ke mua tuka ina, ua kai lalahi a mua. A maua moklina e, ala kai a maua e. Sika e lawa maua moklina, hinga maua moklina.
Aila mari ka mene vai.
Kau i lahi, munuina e po.
Vote for Julie.
I hope whahalatu.
Haia,
Alright.
manuina e po.
Whakalawhalahi atu ki mtoro, o liliu mai, ke hoko mai ke he Leotaogo tōtoro hea whiawhinei, whakalawhalahi atu ia kai tau tangata Niue ko whanonongo mai, ko ilo e mtoro haia a Julie a Funaki tālangi, ko a tutala mai ea 5 hana tau tau, tō tahe furufuru ala mai tau manamana atu mitaki hana ko whakakisi mai ki a tōtoro. Ko mtoro Niue, whanonongo whakamita ki tongana i ene ko ta late poi, ta iwisi hinei hana a tau manatu ke lata mo mtoro ke vili whakamita ke tau loto ha mtoro ke matua nei ko Julie. Whalawhalahi atu ke koe ma poi, ma Trisha poi toa, whalawha atu ki hawa matua i New Zealand, mai a Trisha poi toa i Brisbane. Pia ni kia koe ma sifa loto, sifa lautua, mai haka family mai New Zealand, mo Niue, mo tau whanau o si haku nei whakauelahi ma whanau ko whakasepesepte, ko more tu taimi, kai whakalawhalahi atu au ki mtulu osi, wauelahi.
Haia, whakauelahi ma Julie, a mamana ki ko mtoro ne whanau mai Niue, whakau e ki aia hakua haua ia mo e whakatutala atua ia, campaign ne ia hana a viri ke aho ia. Si ha iai foki i loa e tau tolu, e taha mena ne tupu ki Niue, nakai koe kupu hako ia. Kai ha iai e taha whakatutalaanga po ke taha leo ne longona mai e ke taha matakainanga ha tau tolu he motu, ne nakai hoko hana a hingoa ki loto he virianga ka kano koe nakai moua ia he passport New Zealand, ka koe ia koe tama whanaua ia i koe tama moua ia he passport Australia. Si tuku atoa mahane ma Glenn, kia mua mo Albert, ko mtoro ne na nofu i Niue, mai ke nagai mtoro whakakuku mai ta walatala, a mamna ke au ke haua ia he awhawhinei, ringa kua lavelawe lohe ia whalateo, ai hoko mai ia ki Alofi kai, tuku atu kia mua ma Glenn, mo pati, whakakuku mai la, kua whewhe, poko hingoa, e whakausianga he hana a tutala ia ne ono atu moe. Tokolonga lau tolu ne tohi atu kia ia he Facebooka. Glenn, ia.
Whakaue, nā kai lai hako manatu ke he post nene ki sia he Facebook, hako e nā kai māmau he to whahe ni ua ke he tala nei. Puke longananga nei, ke he whatene ke he motu. But what I do know is that, you know, there are things that have to be, procedures that have to be done for people to understand what's happening on Ireland, or how they can vote, or how they can register. And so it's just a matter of doing people's homework and understanding that. Now, you know, so that's not in disregard regarding what happened to this fellow person who posted online. And, you know, I can't speak on behalf of that person either. I know they were supposed to have an opportunity to share their thoughts on it. But to keep it basic and you know, I don't want to elaborate it on too much. But, I mean, Julie's still here, so she hasn't left the studio if she has any thoughts on it. But from what I know is, from my wife's experience, that she had to be in country for a period of 5 years straight, or 3 years straight. I need to correct that information, before she was able to vote, and that she couldn't leave the island for any reason. And so if you left the island, your time had to kind of restart again. And so that's just one process of getting yourself eligible to vote, and even eligible to be to put your name in to register to go into the elections. And so there's two sides of the story, and I don't know fully both sides of the story to kind of give a proper and you know, a perspective on it. It would be really awesome if that person did show tonight, that they could share their thoughts on the process, but that probably could happen another time, even next week, leading up to the general elections next weekend. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Sorry. Julie, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts on that, because similarly to what you've spoken about, we don't have the full facts of what the situation is. And if there are things that you need to do in preparation for the elections, then that's something that you need to look at. But it's also the side of the department to also assist.
True.
If that is your wish and your desire to vote, or to be part of the common roll, or part of the voting or the elections, then there's due process that you have to go through, and similar to what you said, Glenn, you have to do your homework. But definitely, I cannot say any more on that because I don't have the facts. But yeah, that's all I can shed light on. Thank you.
Could we just expand on that in regards to the Department of Justice, and not throwing any shade or throwing them under the bus either, but what about more awareness from their end leading up to elections, and getting more information out or promoting the processes that needs to be done. I think that those are the things that could, assist. The more information and that's out there prior to the elections, then it gives more ammunition to those who want to prepare, or those who don't realize, oh my gosh, I don't have the right documentation. My passport is expired. Have I been in the country long enough for that duration to be eligible to vote as well? So it could be on multiple sides where the Department of Justice can elaborate more into the build-up. And of course, look how quick the turnaround was from when it was called that there's going to be a general election to shutting down the government, the chambers, and then we're 2 weeks away from general elections. So it is a really, really quick turnover. So it doesn't really give too much window and opportunity for those to prepare themselves. So, maybe looking at all perspectives of how people can get themselves ready, but also for justice to put information out.
I know myself that when I was thinking about going into the elections, I actually went up there and I asked them for the application forms, and they were willing to give it. That was fine. And then I said they gave me the dates of when it would close, closing date of your desire to be a candidate, and then the fee, of course, which is a new thing. It's gone up quite a bit, but if you are really serious about being a candidate, then that's what you have to do. But I must admit that the Department of Justice have done a good job in terms of giving out information on radio. I've heard the radio programs all through the week leading up to the closing of your application to be in the running. And I think that's a very good thing that they've done. I've heard Darren talk about it, and he's given all the rules and regulations and things that we as candidates should be adhering to, especially in terms of what you should be doing in terms of your campaigning, what time you can campaign, what time you should not, you should stop campaigning, when the voting polls go up, how you vote. And as you know, Niue does not do the ticks when you vote. You do the crossing out, and that was clearly informed very numerous times that I've heard Darren on the radio. So that was really, really good to hear that that was being broadcasted throughout the week leading up to the closing, and even now as well. I still hear it on the radio. So the Department of Justice is doing well in that area. So in this particular case, I'm not quite sure what the details are, but only that person who is involved in that can specifically talk to that topic, whereas I myself, I cannot. But yes, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Whamoremore, whakakuku mai ka koe tāne ngā hua I loto he whakatuwhono, whamoremore, whakakuku mai ko ausi whoki a tau tolo tau tula, tō whakausi atu e mautoro hinei. Is he on?
Yeah.
Whalawhātu?
Whalawhātu ma Pat?
He's not on.
Whalawhātu kia mua ma poi mo ete. Lai whakaue ke hamua whakaloanga ke hea nei. Kai tunga ia mai kai ke whakamatua I mga nei ke he hatotua whuata ia ko Zach Smith mai hana tau talahuanga. A koe nā kaitali lo tolu ka ke mai tangata vili, pe tangata tū, ke mai taha tangata kua hua tua ia ke mou ai e taha no whoa e whono I ke pule. Kai longana mai tu tapu ka maori ke tāle ke he whuata nei, moe nā kai iloa mahino nā kai le whai mga hofu ke nāo, tu tala mo ia kai ki sia ki hana tau tala hauanga ke he Facebook. Tunga ia, koe tau mena mahuinga ai ke eke ai, moe tangata ke vili, koe tau tangata ua latania lau tolu ko e tau citizen aia e motu ko New Zealand citizen ki talahau mai fuki na ia ko atuai fuki hana pepa pasipoti a ko iloa fuki mo ua e ia e citizenship e ki ia mai ta citizen i motu Australia e ki fuki ia mo fuki ia e citizenship a New Zealand ka ko atuai hana pasipoti na ka iloa mahino ke mga hunai mai he takitaki he tau lianga o ia ko Darren Tohovaka ko hingoa e tau talahauanga a sipihi ai e menu ka tupu ke mga honei ka e whalafa moli ka ia ona kai mai ke hua atu ke tau lianga ke he langa nei ka e mana ke mautolu ke katotoa mo e popo foki e tau hingoa ke he tau lianga ke lata tau nofoa ke fone ke pule ko pa tua ia honei ke uta ke he tau hingoa kai ko e taha ko hua atu ke lianga ke he tono fua ua fulu, kua pātuai, e tohi ngoa ke uta kehe. Pai mena ia, linga koe maua ngai ni lau tolu ia tono fua e to maanga, mo tono fua motu foki, o mau ngai a tunga ni kua kisi ai e tau tolu. Ka dea whalo tau tala kuku ke he walaia, ka e maua ngai ni tunga hene mai ke o ke whakamama te whaita puka mole, tau puhalaviri, tunga kua tukutoku mai foki, e Julie, ke tu pahalaviri, tonga haia ka watu ai ke tu whaliviri, koe tu hingoa hana hao, ne aimanako ki ai, ke hihika e koe, e tu hingoa ia. Koe tu hingoa hao, ne manako ke toka, koe haia, e tu hingoa hao, ke manako ki ai, ke iloa mahino e lau tolu ki nei, mo iloa fuki ni ka hatu mai te kainanga, ke tu mtuke, koe haia puhalaviri, ke he mga honei. Ka koe amamana ke mautolu, ke he whalu tau wheua ne te polo he motu, koe tahe whenonga ne hoko mai ke motu ko Nisilani, tau hakupu, ki akalana, ko kou whalataha lau tolu, ko hoko mai ke motu, amanake lau tolu, ki hoko ai taha whetoko ne te polo, ke he whanua ki paliasi, au whaiumu whai tapinei, o mai lau tolu, ke he tau whiua whia bihia, whai kau whiwhine, whai kau taane, mai whai kau lafi foki whiwhine mai taane. Kai manaki fuke mautori ke aho ngofua, ke whai tapuka hau, aho walima, mahina nei a pelila, tunga ia koe tau tau osi whakamuna toa e mautori, aho kau tau he motu. Inga ni to maanga, ke hoko e halau tolu ta aho kau tau, ke halau tolu a tau maka, ke he tau maanga, kai tūmaua ngai e ni e matakau kau tau lili mai, ke hoko ai e fusi masini, ke whanua ia ki alofi, ke lata e mai aho ia ke fusi ai masini niue, ke whakamanatu tau tōra tau toa, ne watu ai ke whelakutau ki whakamua e lalolangi, toko tāsi au, mai limunga furu tau toa leka, ne watu ai ke whelakutau ki whakamua. Koe haia e whalu tau mena tu tupu, ke tau aho ki mua, au ngofua haia, tau hoko atu ki au whaiumu, ke meki ai tolu ke kisia ai tau viri he motu, mo i loa foki, ko haia lau tolu kua koutu, e toko ua furu, ke hua atu ai ke whono ke pure he motu. Pihia tau tama wala kuku, i lata mai pō, ma poi, mo ete amana ke manuina mua, ke manuina foki ha mua tau mga whawa, tu mau ke tau e tau fisi furu lala, ki kisia ai a mautolu, ko mua ngai ni koe tau awhine, ke mai ke ai a mautolu, ke kisia mua furu lala. Koe tau manatu ia, mai ke whakakisa te mau nei, whingita whakalai atu ke tau mamatua, mai tau tupuna. Ko mai ke ai ke whanongonongo mai, ko ke anono mai ke tau ata nei, ke awhia nei, koe tau whikau ia ni, mai ke whala atu, ke manuhina tau toluosi, a vea atu, Wau nei, mai he motu ko Niue, alapati he kesi, kia manui nei pō.
Mawe mohoi.
Whakawelahi ma pēte ki hao tau kupu, ko whatoka mai ke iloa mautoro, ko hokutu ai e taimi he maua ke mawehe atu ki a mtuluosi, whakawelahi maha ki a mtulu e tau Niue, tokolongalahi a mtulu ni ono mai, mai whanongono mai ke leti o nei ke tau tālaia hako kua tō tālaia mai he tamwhiwhini ko tuli, funaki tālangi mai i Niue. Sivili atu kia ia, whakamare more. Ko au nei ko e te tō waka, ko mawehe atu, whakauelahi mo nuina po.
Si pihia ni ki a koe ma sek. Fia manako foki nā au ka hake longona, po koe loa whewhe e mga aho e tangata ne kua lata, ke tohi e hingoa, si whakamama e mutoru koe whewhe e loa he mga aho ia. Hakua longa e tau mena ne longona, ko e pehe ka hakua nā kai koe pasipoti New Zealand, ka koe tangata citizen a New Zealand. Ko hingoa e kehe he citizen a New Zealand mo i citizen a Australia. So koe lata ka seke ke nofo i New Zealand, ke whihe tau lewa ka koia ko tama Niue, si koe lewa e nofo foki ia he motu. Longa foki ni e tau uhu, mo e tau mana tuanga ha tau toru. Kua lata na kai po koe loa, kua lohi na kai mga hoia, ne tuku atu ke tangata, mo e whakamama ke lau toru e tau mena, kua lata ke tause, po kua lata na kai e tau whakatufono ia, i loa au ko tau whakatufono, kua lewa foki he motu, kua lata ke whakafou, po ke nā kai lata ke whakafou, ko tau toru, ke whakamama e tau toru, e tau puhala, ke tause a ke ha tau toru, tau whikau. Ha kau e anono atu ka ha, mo lau toru foki i loto he tau hingoa, he tau pepa viri nā, whai mana tuanga, mo e whai whakatutala, atu foki ni ka ha, koe kehe ka e tamane nofo i Niue, kai kehe e tangata ni whinatu i New Zealand na kai nofo. Longa e tau mena ne na kai maama, kua lata foki ka ha ia tau toru, ke whakamama mai, whakamitaki pia. Kai moha ia, a mamanaki, reongi ki a mawhala, e tau ngahua, e tau wirianga, e tau rua motu, ko mutoru, e tau tangata ni nofo i motu, ke tau se mawhala, mo e a mamanaki foki ke longona mai, taha whakatutalaanga, ke lata ia mo e tamanei ha tau toru. Kai moha ia ringa ko lawelawea ia, sina kai hoko me ia ki he studio, whakawelahi ma Glenn, ke he palongalama he afiafi, mamanaki ke riwa tau toru ke whileweia whaetapu ka hau, Julie ke a monuina, koe me hau tau mamanakianga, o mtoru ni whanongono mai, riwa tau toru whakatutala atu foki ke whaetapu ka hau, hai ei ha tau toru, tamwhiwhine, viri foki ia ke na whoa ono, si aitala atu tua iau hingoa, ne gei whanongonongo mai am toru, kai whanongonongo mai he tapu ka hau, to talato hingoa he whaetapu ka hau, ki a monuina i po, ko e ha tau toro a whakatutalanga nei ke lata foki ma whaetapu ka hau, mawanga ia, taha foki ni e tu la, si na ia ne whakasepe ai, kai mamnaki tokoua mai am toru he motu, na kai lahi foki a mga aho, to viri ai ke aho ua fumahewa. Ke monuina i po, i o hawa he waha loto, ke monuina am toru osi, poisi e tuka mawehe atu, ke monuina.
Many Sing